Chapter 18. From Guest to Captive. Second dark day of Cantle, 819. 28 days until Sown. Gisela sticks her lit reed torch into the kindling of her central hearth. The flame starts to spread at once. She walks over next to the door and, without word, slips off her robe and hangs it on a peg. Her lithe body is adorned only by a rowan wood necklace with the protection knot carved deeply into it. You need no adornment, I say, as I pull my own robe off over my head. Gisela stares at me in horror, revulsion. I scan my body, searching for what would make her react so. Everything is ready to go. "Where is your charm?" she demands. "What? Didn't I just tell her she was beautiful? Where is your protection amulet?" "I don't have one." "Simbel," she shouts. She grabs her robe and is out in the night air, raising the alarm. I grab my robe and run after her. In no time, 2 owls land in front of us and transform into druids. Gisela pauses only long enough to slip back into her robe before thrusting her finger at me. "He wears no amulet." The sentries lower their staves. I raise my hands to halt any blow. A slight gust of wind alerts me that my robe is still in my hand. A third owl appears and morphs into Simbel. I use the distraction to don my own robe. He glares at me and my misaligned garment, and then at Gisela. Before I can pronounce my innocence, Gisela shouts loud enough for the whole plane to hear. "He does not wear a protection amulet," she says, as she points her accusing finger at me again. I look at her as if she's lost her mind. Druids are streaming from within the hills now, brandishing torches and staves in equal number. I turn to Simbel for some explanation, with my hands out wide. "Where is your amulet?" he demands. "What amulet?" "The rowan amulet that protects us from the mind controllers." It sounds as if Simbel is talking to a simpleton or a child. "I've never heard of this." Simbel closes his eyes and collects himself. "If the Black Lord has taken note of you, and we can be sure that he has after the equinox, he can mentally home in on your mind and know your general location. If he gets close enough, he can overwhelm the sentries and take control of their minds and bodies." "I told you he stole something from Sizel's body. He's working with the Dark Lord," Judok interjects. His right arm is bound in a sling, or else he would no doubt be pointing at me as well. "He defeated and tried to kill the Dark Lord last night," Simbel says patiently. "I doubt that was some devious plan hatched by the Black Mage. He's doing the Cursed One's bidding since their encounter. He's given away the location of our summer camp." "That may in fact be true," Simbel agrees. He clicks his tongue for a moment. "Gisela, you have not been south since Lugnaza, correct?" "Correct, Lord Simbel." "Then give Grami your amulet for now. I'll have the acolytes make more amulets in the morning. We will leave after the reaping tomorrow." Gisela takes off her amulet and throws it in my face. "Does it have to be in contact with the skin?" I ask. "It's always better, since it is less likely to fall off unexpectedly," Simbel replies. "You will sleep with the men from Sarum. If you try to flee, my men will stop you, even if they must kill you." I stare at Simbel, Gisela, anyone for an explanation. No one has anything but hostility to offer. "Everyone get your rest," Simbel calls out. "We will have to collect whatever of the harvest we can tomorrow, then leave this camp." "I'll escort him to the other prisoners," Judok says. The crowd disperses, leaving only me and Gisela's rival suitor. "I have you to thank for this injury." He flexes his hand on his injured right arm. "No worries, though. I can still best you using my staff with my off arm. I mean no harm to anyone, except Sizel. You killed her and looted her still warm body. I dare not respond. Instead, I bow my head and walk up the hill to the other prisoners. Nothing would please me more than to see you run for it. Judok pokes me in the back a couple of times, but I don't take the bait. What's all the commotion? The Druid on duty asks. We have one more who has been compelled by the Dark Lord for you to watch. One of the guards from Sarum rises and points at me. He's the one that killed 2 of our men on the night the Obsidian Lord arrived at Sarum. He's why I was forced to join the Dark One's party. I didn't kill anyone. I turned into a bat and escaped through a hole in the roof of my jail. Aye, then you came back and killed Kadrin while we were on guard, so your thief friend could escape. He turns to Judok. He killed Kawami as well, and left dressed for dead too. I had no weapon to do such things. Killing guards would only draw attention to our escape. Any killing must have been by Offswith's hand. Offswith? Judok asks. The mind-reading thief who has been banned from the plains under pain of death. Is that your friend and accomplice? He certainly is not my friend, but we were imprisoned together, and we knew the Obsidian Mage was coming that night. I warned the damn fool not to kill anyone. So you only knew him from jail in Sarum. Is that the story you're going with? He's a liar, the beardless fool says. Offswith told us he was a killer. It's only because we caught him trying to sell stolen jewellery that we locked them up together. So they had to know each other before Sarum. Triumph is in Judok's eyes. He allows a small smile as he awaits my answer. Because of my vow, I cannot respond to any of these accusations, except to say that they have been unfairly represented. Don't say another word. Judok is smiling from ear to ear now. You will confess to Lord Simbel tomorrow, or you will be treated as the criminal you are. Either way, I will enjoy your fall. He turns to the Druid guards. Don't let him escape, or you will face Simbel's wrath. Simbel and Judok are seated around the morning's fire, while Ysella and Arthmael escort me to my captors. My pouch sits between them, unopened as far as I can tell. The grey clouds overhead refuse to let even a single ray of sunlight reach the ground. Only Belanos and Onya are witnesses to what happened, but neither will show themselves today. Sid, Simbel says, as he gestures toward a stump. Before you start with your excuses about your vow, I want you to listen to me. Ysella and Arthmael take up stations behind me. Yes, Lord. Judok's smirking face gives me a clue of how bad this is going to be. This is what we know of your story. You were given a quest by Boswin, even though the Council of the Nine had forbidden it. My guess is that Caradog was in on this as well, though I am not sure about your level of knowledge. But Lord, silence. Your chance to tell this tale has passed. I swallow hard. It is going to be even worse than I feared. Boswin coerced a vow of silence from you in return for your illegal quest. You set off for Solent Keep with a known mind-controlling thief. You robbed the Black Lord and somehow managed to flee his city. You and Offswith were captured in Sarum, selling jewellery and trinkets in the market. You were imprisoned together. Before the Black Lord arrived, the two of you killed 2, maybe 3 guards and made good your escape. He halts his story and stares at me expectantly. Have I told the story truly? No, Lord. Very well. I'm willing to give you this opportunity to correct the record. What did I get wrong? I hang my head. I cannot say. Right, the vow, of course, how convenient. We'll continue with my version then. Offswith knows that to enter the plains would mean death to him. So, with or without your knowledge, he left you soon after the escape from Sarum. Presumably you are still questing, so why would you choose to go north instead of southwest, back to Boswen? I came north to warn you of the fall of Sarum. Simbel lets loose a barking laugh. Of course you did, but you forgot to tell us until after we discovered it for ourselves. He waits a moment for me to say more. I hang my head, knowing my silence will only assert my guilt. Stranger still, you seem to have known the Black Lord's plans and waited for him at the Giant's Choir, where you thwarted him. You killed Sizel during the battle, and stole something from her person soon afterward. No, Lord, that's not right. He pauses for me to correct the record. Once again, I hang my head in silence. You have consorted with mind readers at every stage of your quest. Yet you say you are unaware of the Rowan protection amulet. You have potentially given away the location of our summer base, a base that has not been discovered by anyone outside the Druids in over 400 years. And now you sit here before me and take advantage of my offer of hospitality by not revealing what you possess in this pack that is so vital to you. You are either working for the Black Lord, or you are his very useful fool. Is there anything you would like to correct about my version? I raise my head to meet his eyes. Lord Simbel, I journeyed to Solent City with my nephew. We became entangled with Offswith, and had to flee the city with him. I had never met him before then. So it is coincidence that the two of you were reunited at Sarum, in the same cell. And what became of this nephew? My nephew and I met Blockstenius, the trader, after we parted ways with Offswith. I left my nephew in his care, since Blockstenius was bound for the west. Blockstenius is known to us. In fact, he is the one who warned us of Offswith's thieving. So why did you join with a mind-controlling petty thief in the Obsidian Lord's city? I cannot say. So you were not overpowered by Offswith's mental powers and forced to enact his plan? No, Lord Simbel. I realise he's trying to give me a way to escape culpability, but I can't lie to him. And how can you be so sure? You say you were unaware of the protection amulet. I try to exhale all of the air from my chest to avoid what I must say. Because, Lord, my nephew also possesses the mind-controlling talent. There is an explosive shout from Judok. I hang my head, knowing that I have denied Figol his chance to become a druid. Simbel lets out a humorless chuckle. For someone who is unaware of our protection from the Mindbenders, you certainly do consort with a good many of them. I have no explanation for that. And yet your family members are mind controllers as well. It is my brother's wife who has that talent. You realise that it is our best estimate that there are no more than 100 people on all of Brittany who possess the mind-bending ability. And yet you have managed to encounter, he ticks off a finger for each, your brother's wife, your nephew, Offswith, Blockstenius, and the Black Lord. This is all coincidence? I stare into the fire. I dare not mention the limping man. Judok, get the message out to all of the Plains Druids. I would like to have Grami's nephew brought to me. Yes, Lord. Now, my story is a good one, and pretty close to the mark, I would guess. But I still have a few questions. First, what or who made you turn north from Sarum? I came north to inform you that Sarum had fallen under the sway of the Black Lord. Sticking with that, are you? And yet you did no such thing until after we had discovered it for ourselves. He pauses. Let's back up then. Why did you go north from Solent Keep to Sarum? Lord, we came to Sarum from the east. I thought it would be a safe place to stop for the night on my way back to Land's End. So you, Offswith, and your nephew were in the east? He asks, with strained patience. No, Lord. My nephew, Fegol, Blockstenius, and I were coming from the east. Offswith never chooses to stay in my company once the benefit to him is gone. Where in the east were you coming from? I dare not mention Venta and the Elven Tears. I shake my head, declining to answer yet again. Interesting, is all he says. He rises and turns his head skyward as he stretches to full height. Now, at last, we have come to the big reveal. Would you like to tell us what is inside this pack? You have nervously guarded it since you arrived among your Druid friends. You know that I cannot, Lord. Not once in the 5 years that I have led this proud group of Druids have I rescinded an offer of hospitality. In a defeated tone, he says, You have forced me to do so. The disappointment in his eyes says more than any words could. Judok, open up his pack. No! I reach out for my pack until I feel 2 staves pressing against the front of my neck. Ysella and Arthmael firmly force me to sit back. Judok opens the pack and takes out the leather wrap. With a bounce of the wrist, the wrap unrolls, and the ghost orchid lands unceremoniously on the ground. What is it, Lord? Judok asks. Besides a small beat-up flower, I mean. It's hard to say in this condition. Would you be so good as to cast a restoration spell upon it? No! I scream. This time I refuse to lean back, despite the staves at my throat. Simbel shakes his head, and the pressure on my neck is released. You can either tell us what it is, or Judok will cast his restoration spell. My eyes implore him to reconsider, but Lord Simbel is unmoved. I shake my head. I can't. You know I can't. Very well, Simbel says. He waves Judok to perform the necessary spell. I make several strangled noises before the taste of failure settles into my gut. It is a ghost orchid, I blurt out, knowing any chance of becoming a druid is irretrievably lost. Simbel stretches out his hand. Hold, Judok. In my moment of shame, I can't bear to see Judok's gloating or Ysella's disappointment. The small fire crackles on in its own merry little way, undisturbed by my demise. After a few moments, Simbel sighs. I do not sense this man to be a traitor. A fool, of the first rank, perhaps, but he has not the guile to be a traitor. But Lord, Judok says, repack the flower in Grami's pouch and give it to him. Lord? Then I want you to get the iron manacles. Yes. Judok shoots me a look of triumph and hurriedly repacks the flower. He tosses my pack at me, and he's gone before Simbel can change his mind. We only possess the irons because the Obsidian Order has sent turned druids into our ranks before. Never did I think they would be used in any other way, Simbel says, in case I'm still unaware of his disappointment in me.